November games are here. Some of them. Here are some of the top games for November that you should watch out for, shouldn't miss, or at the very least put in the back of your brain as possibly keeping an eye out for. Some are mysteries, some are probably masteries, and who knows, maybe a couple will be complete duds. Stay tuned to the channel for some big reviews this month, as well as a couple previews and more top 10s of awesome games. First one, Undungeon. So, billed by developer Laughing Machines as an action RPG with real-time combat and a science fiction story that I admit actually surprised me when I dived into it. Undungeon has you traveling between dimensions and adjusting the worlds that are connected to this overarching multiverse by doing what heroes do best, smashing the hell out of everything. Pixel art and hand animated, Undungeon has you playing as the Herald, a character working for the hub trying to right the problems of a multiverse. The game's coming out soon. It looks awesome. It's hand animated and old school in its stylings. Undungeon may have a slightly weird name. Nevertheless, there looks like there's a ton here for some nostalgia fans, as well as those people who like their action RPG games looking a little bit like a cartoon. This comes out mid-November. Also in November, of course, The True King. It's impossible to not know about GTA Trilogy Remaster, even if it's just because you were disappointed with the showcase when they finally revealed it. Regardless, GTA Trilogy is coming with 3 games included in the bundle: GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, which is like 3 games all by itself. Rockstar stated that the gameplay and the control has been upgraded to where GTA 5 is, with some more quality of life improvements on top of that. One place where it's not going to be up to GTA 5 is in the graphics. This is a true remaster. If that's all true, though, regardless of the graphics, a lot of gamers are in for a treat. San Andreas alone, like I said, is 3 games. A mini RPG of hooddom, where you and your ragtag team of neighborhood thespians spit truths and bullets while down in 40s. And then when you're all done with that, you can pop off and do some bench presses to burn away the fast food. The GTA games exploded when 3 came out. Each achieved incredible polish after that and story, with Vice City in particular, and then literally just said, screw it, let's do everything in San Andreas. This is a trilogy that for a lot of people will be their first touch with the GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas games, and I look forward to seeing what people think. Speaking of reception, Jurassic World Evolution 1 didn't hit necessarily off on all cylinders. Life is going to find a way, though, and getting Jeff Goldblum into your game might be the best trick it's done so far in Jurassic World Evolution 2. You jump in there, you raise dinosaurs, you breed them, you take on a large number of horrendous natural events that can slam any construction like this, and you take on the position of the administration leader, balancing money with safety and raising dinosaurs so you can sell them, like pretty much any good life trafficking company would be able to do. What's interesting here is you can also jump into the various different vehicles and take direct control of them, looking at the different dinosaurs, tracking them, and tranquilizing them. I spent a huge number of hours with this game, and while I didn't get a chance to put a review out, it is well worth the money, and other reviews seem to generally indicate the same. It does have some issues, but it's a damn fun title when you see a pissed off dinosaur that skipped all arm days chowed into your scientists unexpectedly. And speaking of a game no one expected, Skyrim Anniversary Edition. No, kidding. Moving on. There are a few companies and publishers that are so proficient as Playway. I've talked about them in other prior videos. And in November comes Motorcycle Mechanic 2021. Whether you like these or you hate them, this stream of small devs and publishers have continually released titles that have a stunning number of good games in the niche. Motorcycle Mechanic Simulator is like many of the other games. You run a repair garage and various vehicles are taken to you for fixing. But long ago, the company thought that they should branch out. You don't just sit and turn screws here and there. You can also test ride the motorcycles after repairing them. You can search for parts in the graveyard and upgrade the entire space. Do water transfer paint jobs on the vehicles and handle every aspect of being a mechanic. Like I said, like them or hate them, the games are beloved, and the success record of these guys stretches well more than 5 pages. Just look at this. I've played a number of their games from Thief Simulator on, and I'm constantly surprised how many hours I can end up enjoying these games. There are many that overlap, so you have to sort of watch out what you're getting. But Motorcycle Simulator looks like one I'm going to jump into. It's crazy to see how this niche has exploded and how many people are enjoying what they're getting. Enjoyment is something I also did with a game called Void Bastards, and a title coming with no small visual connection to it is a title called Chains of Fury. But forget space stations here. You're a hired killer put into prison by your enemies and you've escaped, and red-hot revenge is on your mind. But another big change here is that more than 80% of the locations and walls can be destroyed. Fisticuffs aplenty, and a style that's very old school, almost Duke Nukem, pissy kind of cartoon aesthetics, all lean into this title looking incredible. The game does need some optimization, I'm not going to lie, before it's released, but the trailer on the Steam page does appear to be a bit old. It does offer 6 full locations for you to explore, destructible environments, as I said before, and split-screen multiplayer. Now, it's coming to the PC first, then later to the Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. Everything I've seen of this looks like something I am going to absolutely love. Cobble Games has a killer on its hands if it can get that FPS actually smooth, though admittedly, it is going for that old school aesthetic, so the animation on the characters and stuff like that is supposed to look a little bit janky. And speaking of janky, Battlefield 2042. Now, this game has its shares of ups and downs. The trailer originally launched and people freaked out, but the betas and the demos have been, well, to use that word again, pretty janky. Battlefield's making a number of changes to the template, though, with 128 player Battlefields on PC and the next-gen consoles, and then cut that down to 64 players on the older generation consoles. One of the things I like here is they've actually adjusted the map on the older consoles to make sure that those maps don't feel just too wide open. The game's main pull is a sandbox style of gameplay that is multiplayer only. There is single player, though, with bots, just no campaign. One great benefit to Battlefield is if you're a part of EA Play and Game Pass, you get early access to a 10-hour trial as well to test this out, to decide if you actually like it. Lastly, there's Battlefield Portal. Now, this part of the game makes your own matches. You can mix and match styles of gameplay systems and modes and timelines for players to face one another in some truly unique time frames and combinations. It's like being a kid and merging Star Wars and Star Trek with a dynamic weather system. Also dynamic are some of their maps. There's a ton of equipment and a number of differences to the gameplay from the prior titles. Hopefully this one can actually measure up and offer something that most Battlefields have in the past always given you, which is good, solid shooting and some hilarious montage moments. We will have to see on this one, but I'm actually more excited about Battlefield 2042 than I thought I was going to be, if only for the most part because of Portal. Another title I have found myself insanely excited to check out is Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1 for various different reasons. It's interesting if you trace back the Sherlock games. They were classics. They had a solid modern success as well in titles like Crimes and Punishment, which was considered one of the best Sherlock games ever made, and the investigation system and the mind vault and the puzzle gameplay brought in fans who weren't even playing it just for Sherlock Holmes. Not only that, it was so successful that other titles have sort of cribbed from it when it comes to investigations. Then came Devil's Daughter, which hit with far less fanfare, and it seemed to have lost a good deal of the charm, fun, and just, well, overall goodness that Sherlock had. Now we have Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1, which is open world, or probably open city. Sherlock Holmes' original starting story, basically, with you playing Sherlock far before he was big news. Frogwares is looking at doing something completely different with this Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1. We'll have to see if it worked out, and it's coming out very soon, but I'm excited for this. The Sherlock Holmes games have always done really well, and even though Devil's Daughter did not hit, I'm excited to jump back into this because, man, Crimes and Punishment, that's a sweet-ass game. And another sweet-ass game is actually out, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. Paid Premium is out at least. Forza Horizon 5. It comes out here in the next bit for Game Pass and Standard Edition owners. If you bought the Premium Edition, well, you're playing it already and you're going to skip this part. This is a game that offers more than 400 cars, blueprints to make your own races and challenges, as well as the verticality and new weather system that this Mexico map offers. Forza Horizon 5 has scored incredibly well and has almost 1 million players already playing it, despite it not being fully out. The game's performance is incredible and one of the visual highlights for Microsoft and Playground Studios. Forza Horizon 5 is, to me, the definition of an open world fun title. Regardless of other titles that you've seen where there's various different mini-map locations to go to, that repetition can set in. For whatever reason, Forza Horizon 5 continually engaged me no matter how long I played it. I always wanted to play it a little bit more. I wanted to do one more race or collect one more car. It's going to have its issues, but it is still a stellar game, and apparently, opinion seems to agree with me on that one. Another thing I think we can all agree on, November is just a weird-ass, awkward month. It's your friend that always says something a little off-kilter to everybody else, and there's that quiet moment. It's got delays of games into it and then back out again, games into it and then not out again, and games that people hinted were going to be in November that, well, aren't here at all. Games expected for a year, delayed into next February. With Halo coming out in December, as well as a delay of Final Fantasy Endwalker out of November into the Christmas month, the end of November is actually going to be very tight for these titles, trying to make a name for themselves while also escaping that upcoming shadow of huge December releases. And make no mistake, December is stocked. One of the most stocked Decembers I think we've seen in a long time. So those are some of the games that I really am looking forward to in November, or already playing, that I think are well worth your time checking out. What games do you like in November? What games are you getting? I'm sure I've missed some because this isn't called every single game in November. So whatever titles that you see or don't see in this list and you want to include, throw it in the comments section, give it a thumbs up, share the video. You can always check out my Reddit, Twitter, Facebook, and of course, Patreon, where you'll continually see me release content that isn't 2 minutes long or filled with sponsored bullcrap. And that's me, done.